Japan has just brought to life the deadly weapon America spent $500 million on, then threw away. This isn't a missile. It doesn't need gunpowder or explosives. Using only magnets, it launches projectiles at 7 times the speed of sound, obliterating targets 100 miles away. The US once led this race until they abandoned it. Now, Japan has done what America couldn't. The question is, will the US fight to catch up or lose this race forever? What's even more shocking? Japan just invited America to join their program. After walking away from 17 years of development, the US now faces a humiliating choice: partner with their own student, or watch as Japan, Germany, and France control the future of naval warfare. The clock is ticking. China's aggressive expansion continues. North Korea's missiles threaten the Pacific. And the weapon that could change everything sits on a Japanese test ship right now. Imagine standing on the deck of a warship. The sea is calm. The sky is clear. Then, without warning, impact. Something hits with the force of 200,000 bullets fired simultaneously. No explosion warned you it was coming. No missile trail crossed the sky. Just pure destruction arriving at Mach 7. This is what makes railguns unlike any weapon we've seen before. But how do they actually work? While conventional naval guns use explosive powder to launch shells, railguns use something far more powerful: pure electromagnetic force. The concept is deceptively simple. 2 parallel metal rails connect to a power source, place a metal projectile between them, send massive electrical current through the system, and the resulting magnetic field launches the projectile at speeds that defy imagination. But here's the part that keeps military planners up at night. A single railgun projectile costs around $25,000. That might sound expensive until you compare it to the Tomahawk cruise missiles currently used by the Navy at $1.8 to $4 million each. You could fire 40 railgun shots for the price of a single missile. Think about that for a moment. This cost difference alone should have guaranteed the railgun's place in America's arsenal. But something went terribly wrong with the program that the Pentagon once considered the future of warfare. What could possibly make the US military walk away from such a revolutionary weapon? And what's happening now in the Pacific could reshape military power for decades to come. The story begins in the early 1980s, in the shadow of the Cold War. While the public focused on nuclear weapons, a small team at the US Army Research Laboratory began exploring something equally revolutionary: electromagnetic acceleration. What they discovered would change warfare forever, or so they thought. Within a decade, the potential became clear. In the 1990s, tests showed railgun projectiles could punch straight through tank armor like it was cardboard. By 2006, the Navy had demonstrated an 8 megajoule cannon that fired 7-pound projectiles. To put that in perspective, that's enough energy to lift an SUV 5 stories into the air. But this was just the beginning. The golden era came in the 2010s. BAE Systems delivered a 32 megajoule prototype that released energy equivalent to detonating 11 pounds of C4 explosive in a single shot. During tests, projectiles reached 8,270 feet per second. So fast they could travel from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore in under 2 minutes. The technology seemed unstoppable. By 2014, the Navy had launched the futuristic Zumwalt-class destroyers with revolutionary power plants, generating 78 megawatts, exactly what the railgun needed. The future seemed set. Railguns would transform naval warfare forever. But beneath the surface, disaster was brewing. The immense forces involved caused barrels to deteriorate after just a few shots. The firing rate proved disappointingly slow, and budget cuts had reduced the planned Zumwalt fleet from 32 ships to just 3, meaning only 3 vessels in the entire Navy could even power these weapons. After 17 years and over $500 million spent, the Pentagon made a stunning decision in 2021. They cut all funding for railgun research. The dream was officially dead, or so they thought. While America was abandoning its railgun program, a much different story was unfolding across the Pacific. Japan, facing increasing threats from both China and North Korea, couldn't afford to give up on game-changing defensive technology. But Japan didn't just continue railgun research. They completely reimagined the approach. In 2015, the Japanese Acquisition Technology and Logistics Agency, ATLA, began with small-scale experiments. By 2016, precisely when US enthusiasm was waning, they launched full-scale development. What happened next shocked military observers worldwide. In 2023, Using a system built for just $48 million, less than 10% of what America had spent, Japan announced successful test launches that achieved velocities exceeding 6,560 feet per second for 120 consecutive shots. Let me repeat that. 120 consecutive shots. The number that matters here isn't the velocity. It's the shot count, because the truly jaw-dropping breakthrough came in solving the very problem that had defeated American engineers: barrel deterioration. Even after intensive testing, the Japanese railgun showed virtually no significant damage to the rails. Let that sink in. Japan solved the exact problem that caused America to abandon the program. How did they do it? What did Japanese engineers see that Americans missed? By spring 2025, they had successfully mounted their railgun on the test ship JS Asuka. Unlike the Americans, who struggled with integrating the massive power requirements, the Japanese took a practical approach by securing their prototype to the rear flight deck. What makes this even more remarkable is how they accomplished so much with so little. Their test system used just one 20-foot cargo container as a charger and a 5 megajoule capacitor made from 3 cargo containers. But the most stunning development wasn't technical. It was diplomatic. Shigenori Mashima, Vice Commissioner of ATLA, made an unprecedented public invitation to American defense contractors to join Japan's railgun program. This wasn't just a technological breakthrough, it was a direct challenge to America's military leadership. The student was now inviting the teacher back to class. The geopolitical implications of Japan's success are nothing short of explosive. After decades of being America's junior military partner, Japan now holds the keys to a weapon the Pentagon couldn't perfect. Think about what this means. The United States, after investing $500 million pioneering railgun technology, might now have to partner with Japan to access the very weapon they invented but couldn't complete. How did we get here? Congressional defense committees now face an impossible choice: rejoin the railgun race as a junior partner to Japan, or watch as allies potentially develop superior weapons technology while America sits on the sidelines. This isn't just about military hardware. It's about national pride and global influence. In a world where technological superiority translates directly to geopolitical power, can America afford to let others lead? Imagine the conversations happening in Beijing right now. The situation becomes even more urgent when we consider what railguns could mean for the increasingly tense Pacific region. With China aggressively expanding its naval presence and territorial claims in the South China Sea, ships equipped with railguns would possess unprecedented capabilities. They could strike targets from over 100 miles away with pinpoint accuracy, firing projectiles that arrive in minutes with devastating force, all at a fraction of the cost of traditional missile systems. The first nation to deploy this technology at scale would gain a significant advantage that could alter the balance of power in the entire region. And right now, that nation looks like it will be Japan, not America. What does this mean for US military dominance in the Pacific? Japan isn't just experimenting, they're planning for deployment. A TLA has announced intentions to install railguns on their upcoming Project 13 destroyers entering service in the 2030s. Meanwhile, in 2024, Japan signed formal agreements with France and Germany to jointly develop electromagnetic weapons technology, creating a powerful international consortium that notably excludes the United States. This creates a scenario few military planners ever anticipated: American allies potentially developing and deploying superior weapons technology without US involvement. The timeline is accelerating. While the Pentagon focuses on other priorities, the railgun, once America's vision of the future, is becoming reality under Japanese leadership. This isn't just about missing out on a single weapon system. It's about a fundamental shift in the technological leadership that has defined American military dominance since World War II. And as tensions continue to rise with China, North Korea, and Russia, the strategic implications of this technological gap grow more concerning by the day. What happens if China obtains this technology before the US can rejoin the race? Their success in addressing barrel erosion, the very problem that derailed the American program, suggests we're on the cusp of seeing these weapons deployed in active service. The diplomatic channels are open, with Japan explicitly inviting American participation. The technical foundation exists, built on years of Pentagon-funded research. The strategic rationale is compelling, given growing threats from adversaries developing their own advanced weapons. All that's missing is the political will for America to acknowledge that sometimes innovation requires collaboration, and that being a partner is better than being left behind. This moment represents more than just the fate of a single weapon system. It may well determine who controls the electromagnetic weapons that will dominate naval warfare for the next century. And as China continues its military buildup and territorial aggression, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will America swallow its pride and rejoin the railgun race through partnership with Japan? Or will budget constraints and national ego keep the United States watching from the sidelines as its allies forge ahead with the weapon of the future? The answer to this question won't just shape military technology. It may determine who controls the Pacific in the coming decades. What do you think? Should the United States partner with Japan to regain its railgun edge? Or was abandoning this technology the right call? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This power shift is happening now, and the implications are enormous. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming analysis on China's response to these developments. Because in the race for electromagnetic dominance, second place isn't just losing, it's becoming irrelevant.